everyone, and welcome to Sphere of Success, the podcast that looks at challenge and adversity in business and how we can alchemize that to thrive, to develop, to grow, because it's just one of life's things, isn't it? That you know what, we're going to have to experience challenge and adversity to be able to then come out the other side and be better as businesses, better as people, etc. And today I have with me the fabulous, the one and only Janine Coombes. You need to take a look at her LinkedIn because she's got a wonderful LinkedIn profile, so energetic, so fresh, brilliant. I love it. And so what I'm going to do now is read the wonderful bio that I have now for Janine. And that was something I really wanted to bring across because this lady is very heart-centered, which is something which is really close to my heart. And I want all of you guys to know out there as well that she is the lady to be in touch with marketing, etc. So let's just now have a little look and see what Janine does. So Janine Coombes is a marketing coach for coach-shaped people, and I love that. She used to work with big brands like EE, Orange, and Europcar, but now helps coaches, mentors, and consultants earn more, and wait for it, without slogging their guts out. I love that. It's fabulous. So, Janine, welcome. I can't wait to get in to how you actually help your wonderful clients without slogging their guts out. Because I tell you what, we think of it almost as the never-ending treadmill that you just can't get off. So, welcome. It's wonderful to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Well, wonderful. So you've actually worked with some really big corporates, household names. And what was it that prompted you to move from that environment into what you're doing now?
Oh gosh, there were so many reasons. I think if I had to pick the biggie, it was that um, my heart wasn't in it. My heart wasn't in it, and I almost feel guilty saying that because, I like to think that I did a good job and I tried my hardest and all that. But the truth of the matter was, when I turned up in the morning to start my working day, and just read a nice book on the train on the way in, my colleagues were going, "Oh my God, have you seen what our competitor is doing in the newspaper? Have you seen this ad that they've just released? Have you seen this new thing?" And no, I hadn't. I hadn't. I was reading a nice, I'd end my day and switch off and go home. And, which I think a lot of people like the sound of that, especially if they're running their own business. We kind of dream of being able to utterly switch off, which, it's difficult to do now, but it's that passion that I have found now. And when you're working for yourself, that is the privilege that you've got. You can follow your nose and you go, actually, this is the bit that really lights me up. Oh, out of that stuff, this is the bit that really lights me up. Out of this stuff. And then you can just follow the passion and follow what plays to your strengths, what feels good, what's fun, and what helps people the most.
I love that because that is so true. I mean, I've been in jobs before because I worked for big companies like Barclays and Hitachi. And yeah, I mean, I was getting on the laptop at say 7 in the morning when the train pulled up, and in the carriage, I used to work in London and commute in. It was a long old commute, and tap 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 away. Not because I wanted to, because I had to, because they crammed you full of so much stuff that you had to use your nooks and crannies of the day to be able to just keep your head above water, and that was very stressful. So I do understand from the other side the fact that it wasn't igniting you, it wasn't giving you that passion, it wasn't really setting you on fire so that you had that added ability then to really go in and think about that for your company. So now you're self-employed. And I love the fact that you've used the phrase coach-shaped people. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's actually very specific with what it is that you do. So I'd like to think about telling our audience now how you made that journey from being in corporate, becoming self-employed, and why is it that you work with coach-shaped people?
Oh, okay. Boiling the last 20 years down into a nutshell. So I came out of my official reason for leaving corporate was that I was about to give birth. That was sort of a good excuse to hand in my notice. I don't know whether I'd have ever have done it for any other reason. Like I still think I'd still be working in corporate and wondering why I didn't feel fulfilled. But that was a good reason to leave. So I was coming up to my maternity leave, and I went on maternity intending to go back. And then 6 months in, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going back, and handed in my notice. So that was the logical reason why I left. And then the journey to actually setting up my business was quite bumpy, a winding road. Um, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And to begin with, I thought, oh, I don't know whether marketing is actually what I wasn't feeling fulfilled in my marketing role. Maybe it's not, maybe marketing isn't for me. And I started investigating all sorts of wild and wacky ideas, which would not have played to my strengths and would not have been fun, but I just didn't know what to do. And then a few of my friends at different points started setting up their own businesses and started marketing them. I was like, what are you doing? That is not logical. You're very intelligent, very, very intelligent people were making just strange decisions with their money as to what to do with their marketing. I thought, this is all obvious, is it not? And of course, it's not obvious if you haven't had the business degree and the marketing diploma and the experience and the actually hands-on business of marketing. So I couldn't keep my nose out, and I started giving them advice. And then I thought, you know what, I do think I still like marketing and want to do marketing. So I started exploring that, and I ended up setting my business up. I think it was about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years now, to help service-based business owners, like practically all of my experiences with service-based businesses. So I went broad to begin with because I just think for most people, that's the only way you can do it. I'm a little bit anti-niche in that way, especially when you start. Just try things. So I tried things. And as I went along, it was the coaches that I got most fulfillment out of. The problems that they presented me with were the most juicy, fun things for me to sink my teeth into. I was working with VAs and web designers and copywriters and, any bathroom showrooms, just, translators. I did a massive seminar for translators. Like it was all over the place. But yeah, I followed my nose, and it was the coachy people. And the reason I say coach shaped people is because some of my clients don't want to call themselves coaches because that label doesn't suit them, or they haven't got an accreditation. They don't feel like they deserve or have are qualified to call themselves a coach, or they are accredited, and what they do, they're very aware that they're not doing pure coaching. They're doing a bit of mentorship in it, or a bit of consultation with it. And one of the profiles of people I work with a lot are leadership coaches, for instance, and executive coaches, who actually less than half of the amount of work that they do is coaching. They're actually helping corporates with their culture or leadership skills, or you name it, anything to do with high impact change management, that kind of thing. And what they're delivering is actually more like facilitation or training programs, or system design, or whatever their background is in. So I struck upon the phrase coach shaped people, and the right people get it. The wrong people think I work with people who are shaped like buses. So
I love it.
I've had a couple of strange, like, they're shaped like coaches, or like National Express. Like, no,
Well, no, not quite, but yeah, no, I love
no.
that. I looked at it first, I thought, oh, okay. And then I thought, oh, okay. No, it's really good. And I love that phrase because they do say that specific is terrific, but I quite agree with you. When you first start out, it takes a very brave person or somebody that really is already in a niche and has got kind of like that background in that particular subject, that they've got already clients coming and feeding in. It's a brave person indeed that can just say, I'm just focusing on this one particular vertical, because you want to keep your options open for as much as possible. And I'd always say to people, do that. And as you say, drill down, see what works, see what ignites you, see where you can add the most value, etc. And then even if it is on a broad sector and you're sector agnostic, is what it is that you do. What does your avatar look like? You know, what gets them out of bed in the morning, so that at least you know you've got that focus on a particular person's needs, etc. So no, I completely understand that. And moving on from the coach shaped people side of things and getting your teeth into some meaty issues that they might face, I'd like you to unpack now a little bit about what do those challenges look like for your particular sector.
So the challenges I most like helping with, and they're most likely to present with, are things like not standing out in a very increasingly packed marketplace. The mix of clients that they get. So some of my clients come to me and they're getting enough work, but it's a mishmash. And some people are joyous to work with, and some people are draining to work with. So I can help them position themselves so that they're the obvious choice for the right people. And some of what I do is approach. So I'm a coach shaped person because actually I'm predominantly a consultant, but some of what I do is coaching. Because there might be what's the word? Preconceptions about, well, if I say no to these people, then I'm a bad person. Like there might be something like that going on underneath. If I'm a coach, I should be helping everyone and I should be open to help everyone. But that's not usually how it works. It's better to be at some point when you're ready and you've got those insights to start being more specific, at least with your messaging, at least with your who you help. But yeah, the tagline about not slogging your guts out hopefully resonates with my ideal client a lot, because they set up their business to help people and to coach people and or consult with them, and not to do marketing. So I love the marketing. I love being on video. I love writing content. I love sharing stuff. My ideal clients, probably that's not why they set up their business. They set up their business to help people. So how do we do that smarter? How do we not add stuff to their to-do list? How do we potentially even take stuff off it, or just work it so that they know exactly what they're doing? And they know if they're experimenting, that they know that they're experimenting with something new. They're not just sort of, it's the spaghetti against the wall. Which wall doesn't have spaghetti on yet? That kind of thing. So my approach with clients is the positioning of what they do. And then once that is crystal clear in their mind and they know that they're charging a reasonable amount for it, which again, that's a part of the equation of earning more without slogging your guts out. You have to charge enough for that to happen. You have to be happy with that, and your clients have to see the value. Once that's all sorted, then the marketing becomes easier. It makes it easier to work out what you should be doing, how much of it you should be doing, what messaging to use, and it starts becoming more impactful, and you start to reap the rewards instead of just feeding energy and time into a machine that never gives back.
Indeed, and that can take an enormous amount of time, resource, and also mental well-being as well, because when you think that nothing is working, it's very depressing to know that you think, well, what's going to be right? And also, you're quite right, people don't go into the businesses they do to become, and we've got an outsourced business as well as podcast training, they don't come in to be administrators, which a lot of people turn out to be, because it's just one of those things about the job. They don't necessarily start off with thinking, yeah, I get to do all that marketing, which is fabulous, because that's not what floats their boat. It's actually for you helping them get down to the real reason why they started their business, and that's from the coaching perspective. And the other thing that I always know about coaches and trainers and people who are with the people that they are helping is, once you are with those people, you cannot do anything else. You can't just take a quick email or a quick WhatsApp phone call. You've got to be present in the room. Often it's face to face, so that's it, you are there. And it's like consultants in that stage. You do the project, you're with them people, and then it finishes and you think, oh, crikey, what am I going to do now? Because I've like got a standing start again to try and get the next client, etc. So how do you help people to keep that consistency going while they're doing the delivery of what they need to do?
Yeah, it's a really good point because you can have a glut of work and then you're too busy and you're servicing all those people, and then contracts come to the end or the work comes to the end, and I call them squeaky bum months. So it's like, oh no, I haven't been present for the last few months. So my approach is, do all that pre-work so that you know how to be effective and just keep it ticking along. Find a way to make sure that what you're doing, consistency is a bit of a nemesis for me because it's not my natural way of being. I'm a bit of you know, a spurt of work and then a bit of a rest, and a spurt of enthusiasm and inspiration and a bit of a rest. But there are ways to do it so that you can maintain some manner of consistency and it's not all or nothing. And there's, again, working those channels. What marketing tactics are you using, and which of them play to your strengths? Like, I would never say to a client, you must be on video. You must be on video. Video is amazing. It's, fast tracks the know, like, trust. If a client is absolutely dead set against it and absolutely hates the idea, there are other techniques. There are other things you could be doing that will take less energy and you'll spend less time procrastinating about it because you found a way that will work for you. People can get, the truth is, people can get more than enough coaching clients from networking. Like, you could get all the clients you need from networking if that plays to your strengths, because you're going to enjoy it and you're going to do it more regularly, and it will become sort of a flywheel, and you'll get more and more benefit from the more effort you put into it. But I think a lot of shoulds are thrust down people's throats online, and people are made to think that they're missing something. I must have the best website in the world. I must be on social media, 3 platforms, 3 times a day, and I must run a podcast, and I must do this, and I must, should, must. And it's not true. You
Well,
do what you do.
absolutely. And the thing is, as well, don't be put off by the fact that somebody else looks like they're absolutely nailing it, because often it's smoke and mirrors and they're putting out their best side of things. And I'd say that we're all pretty much feeling the same most of the time. So actually, when we come down to it, you think, oh God, everybody else seems to be getting there but me. And they're shouting about their successes, and maybe I haven't had any as much as I'd like in the moment. Well, actually, do you know what? Don't worry about it, because all of those other people most likely are probably experiencing the same thing. What they're doing is they're putting their best foot forward. They're using information perhaps from a couple of years ago, etc. So what is out, what all that glitters, as they say, is not necessarily gold. So just be aware of that. And I'd always say, I can, like the best of us, I can always get a little bit like, I've seen this person come up in my social media feed a while, and it's like, oh my God, they're taking over the world. And oh my goodness me, what about me? And it's just like, hey, kiddo, just keep on doing the trudgy stuff and actually enjoy the journey, and it'll happen. It's not got to happen overnight. Don't be frightened about what other people say, because ultimately they're all on their journey.
Yeah.
And you never know what goes on in the real world apart from on that social media side. And so with that on social media and stuff, you're helping with the marketing side of things. Where would you see your key elements and strengths are with the marketing, that people can think, oh, that resonates, or actually, no, that doesn't resonate so much? So yeah, tell us about the nitty-gritty of what you actually do for your clients.
Yeah, so it's rare that I don't usually start off with a client on reconnecting with their ideal client. And I try not to say that too much in my marketing because it makes people groan and think, I've done that 50 times. But it always comes down to, are you clear about who you're trying to help? Who is your ideal client? And it's funny how quickly we can lose contact with that, and we can lose connection with that. So I reconnect with that. I check how they're doing at the moment with their positioning. Is it clear? Is it making sense? I've sort of got this sixth sense now. I can sort of sniff out when the messaging isn't landing or when it's not, even if I'm not the client's ideal client. I can sort of sniff out when their messaging and what's coming across on their website or on the social media or wherever, if it's not sharp enough. I can tell when it's weak. So there's a bit of a sense check, and then we use the insights about the ideal client. They might need to do some market research, which again, I don't try not to talk about too much because again, clients don't, it's an annoying thing on your to-do list to do, but once you get started with it, every single client loves it because they're coaches and I like talking to people. So there might be a bit of market research, which is talking to people, in-depth interviews, face to face on Zoom or whatever. And then I can help them use those insights to refresh their messaging or reposition them if they want a bit of a reposition, but like make sure that that offer makes sense to the right people, that it looks valuable, because that not only appeals to people more and they'll get more clients and more of the right clients, but it boosts their own confidence as well. So there's a lot of the work that I do, it does sort of reinvigorate their own self-belief, because again, you touched on this earlier, if you're doing churning out loads of marketing and you're not getting much back for it, it affects it erodes your own self-confidence, which doesn't make any sense because they're coaches, not marketers. But that's how it feels. It's like, oh, nobody wants to work with me, I must be rubbish, which is not correct. They're not working with you because they haven't seen you, they're not aware of you, or they don't think that what you do can help them on some level. So that's a long way of answering that question.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine, because I think that it takes a long time. Well, how long is a long time? Well, continually, I suppose, to make sure that the messaging is going out in a way which is resonating with your target audience, that actually builds a community. I'm all about building community and actually having, I don't use this word tribe, it was mentioned last night on a course that I was doing. And it's like, well, okay, fair enough. But a community around you that, and this is the other thing, the tip of the iceberg. We put out a post yesterday on LinkedIn, and there was a technical issue with it, and something was wrong, and we had to take it off. And it's going to get reposted today. But I had 3 people that have never commented, never liked, never actually done anything, and has said, "Where's your post today?" And I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. I hadn't actually thought that anybody was looking. You go through this thing like tumbleweed.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that are thinking, oh my gosh, everybody's like trying to outdo themselves with likes and comments and things like that? When you're in that situation with your marketing and it seems like there's the big silence, what would you say to people that's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there. The lurkers, for want of a better word, the people who are reading and absorbing and benefiting from the stuff you're putting out, it doesn't mean that they're not there. They are there and they're watching. And actually, anecdotal evidence would suggest that they're more likely to buy than the people who are supporting you and commenting and reacting and pressing that like button or whatever. Um, and certain types of service are less likely to get engagement anyway. Like if you are, I'm friends with a woman on LinkedIn who's a sex coach. She doesn't get loads of comments because I think people think, well, if I comment on there, people might think that I'm her client. Or if I comment on here, that'll mean people think that I agree with what she's saying or whatever. Um, so think about what you're actually posting. Some things are very, very easy to post on, to comment on. Um, Advice about how to use LinkedIn is extremely commentable on. So it's ironic that the people who are helping people use LinkedIn are bound to get more engagement than the rest of us, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So have a bit of perspective. And again, when a client of mine is like, oh, I'm not getting engagement, and they're targeting CEOs of blue chip businesses, it's like your CEOs, they're not going to be scrolling LinkedIn or Instagram every day. So be realistic with the amount of engagement you're getting and remember what the purpose of that LinkedIn post is. It's rarely to sell, it's more likely for that profile of person that you just want something credible to be there, something thoughtful, so that when somebody does hear from you, from cold outreach or a recommendation or networking or whatever other thing you're doing, that they see it and think, gosh, this person is what I thought they were. This backs up what so and so said about them. This is thoughtful. And that profile of person is almost guaranteed not to engage or comment on anything of yours before taking action.
Yeah, and as you say, but make sure that you realize that they are there and that they
Mm,
are looking and that they pick up on things. And I'm a great believer in the way that you do one thing is the way you do everything. So you can't just put out the content, whatever that may be, in whichever format and platform that you choose, just to actually do it. You've got to actually have the meat on the bones. And this is where you can come in, I'm absolutely certain, because it takes a certain kind of commitment and a certain kind of creativity to be able to keep up with this. And it takes time. So to outsource that element of the job, where it might not be as a coach, your first, as you say, your go-to default, yeah, I'm fantastic at this. Great if you are, but from that perspective, if you know and you're truthful with yourself that actually somebody else could probably do a better job, I would always say outsource. And that's, I think, why people should really get hold of you, is the amount of time, if you put that into another useful exercise of getting that coaching client, speaking with the people, getting yourself out there in situations, speaking engagements, networking, doing your own webinars, etc. That's going to be where the person's education and expertise and specialism comes into play. And then on the other side of it, where you're not so great at, because we can't be great at everything, is on that marketing side, knowing how to engage with your audience with thoughtful, insightful, educational, inspirational material that's more likely to land with them on a long-term basis. Does that resonate with you in the sense of what you say to your clients?
Yeah, I think where I meet them tends to be the work that we do together is essential before outsourcing.
Yeah.
And when I've met people and they've been burned by outsourcing, like you have to be able to brief that person really, really well.
Yes.
And if they've never briefed anybody, like I've briefed tons of people in corporate, it's part of my daily work was writing a creative brief. If you don't nail that creative brief and it's not detailed enough, how on earth is the outsourcer going to ever be able to deliver what you want, and do a good job? So yeah, it's getting to the point where you're able to outsource the bits that you know you're not good at is a wonderful, and it's probably an essential part of the growing your business.
So let's get this right then, from the point of view of what you do for people, because I think this is important today to actually specify where you start and where your handoffs are. What do you actually get involved with to help your clients so that people know the value that you can bring to them?
Yeah, so the actual work that I do with people tends to be on a one-to-one basis, and it's like a coaching consulting calls, and I help them get to the point where they're crystal clear on who they want to work with, how to attract those people, how to represent the value of what they do. So it's clarity around all of that, and I help them dig down into what messaging they should be using, so that if they did want to either create the content themselves, then they're able to do that with better effectiveness, or if they're outsourcing, that they're able to brief those people, but I don't do the work for them. I'm not an outsourced agency as such.
Understood. Understood. Yeah, no, that's a good distinction, and thank you for that, because I think it's important for people to know exactly when they get in touch with you how you can actually help them navigate. And also, I think it's very important, like you say, you're there. If you teach a person to fish, they have fished forever. So the great thing is that with that, you've got the opportunity to actually really help those people to understand what makes that tick, so that when they do go out and they want somebody to help them, if that's the way that they choose, then they can brief those people in a manner where they know that the job is going to get done to a high specification. And interestingly enough, because I've got an outsourced team, but I teach them what I want from the podcast, what I want from the social media element of it, I would always say never assume that somebody has got it, that understands it, because a couple of times over the last sort of few months, I've had a situation where I think, hang on, that's not what I asked for. And this is within my own team, and I'm the one that's explaining it. So, I look at myself and say, could I have done that better? And I think where I was falling down is actually asking the person to almost relay what it was that I was telling them so that they could then demonstrate to me and to themselves that they knew what they were doing. And
Yeah.
once I realized that actually they were saying yes to things that when it came down to it, they weren't necessarily as familiar with as I was, that's where the disconnect happened. And so when you know what you need to the whole thing is you need to know what you need to do and why
Mm,
you need to do it and when it needs to be done. And that's what you can teach. And then
mm,
it's for your clients to actually understand that to the point then where you can eloquently, if you wish to outsource, deliver that in a way which people are going to understand, as you say, with the right kind of detail. Because, a few weeks or months down the line, and that's a lot of work that either could have been much better, or it turns out actually that no, that didn't hit the mark. And they will come back and they'll say, but I was doing what you said. And it's
mm.
like, no, I didn't say that. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and most commonly with clients, they're doing the marketing themselves, and that's why having a longer term relationship's really handy because I can check. I'm like, okay, you wrote this post or blog or whatever, but it didn't feature these key messaging points. Like it's so hard to keep it all in your head. So I can check it and say, remember that this was the key part of the messaging, so that needs to be in there. This bit wasn't punchy enough. You've gone a bit soft on this because you're scared of saying X, but you need to put that in. So I can sort of coach them in that way. And a minority, I'd say 10% or less of clients, they're going to brief a web design agency or copywriter or content writer, and I will help them write that brief with no extra cost because it is a skill. It's
Mm.
actually quite a big skill conveying what you want in a creative brief. It's quite a skill. So I'll do that no extra charge because what I don't want them to do is go away, first creative brief they've ever written, and they're paying God knows how much money on a new website. I just don't want to leave that to chance when I'm sat there with loads of experience.
Yeah, well, in fact, we're having our website redeveloped as well for the podcast mastery hub that we run, because we've got the outsourcing and I was using both. And then I thought, no, we need to have separate messages for that and a separate website. And you go in and you think, I know why I don't do this very often, because there's so much to do. And if anything, I'm the one that's the roadblock here. I'm actually holding stuff up because I've not got what they need to move forward with. I'm having an e-commerce website and everybody will know, they'll resonate. It's not cheap. It costs a lot of money. And when it comes down to it, you've got to think that's got to be my workhorse.
Mm,
That's got to start to deliver, whether it be we're doing online courses and so the sales through that. And it's also got to be a lead magnet as well. So I've got my landing pages and things like that coming in to also get that community building so that, we're developing our listings for people, etc., so that we can provide added value. And then when you think of all the component parts, that's actually a lot to contend with. And if I'm honest, I think I bit off a bit too much more than I could chew, because I then also decided that I go on a couple of courses as well. And at the end of it, I'm thinking, have I done either anything particularly well? Well, I've learned a lot, but a lot of like the homework, I haven't actually been able to sit down and really work through. So what I'd say with people who are working with you, that, it's not just they've got you and that's it, they don't do anything else. There's a whole raft of other work that they're doing at the same time.
mm.
What would you say to potential clients to get the most out of what you do? How much time do they need to devote to actually working with you to get the best type of result that they can?
Oh, good question. I think it depends. how much they're already spending on their marketing. I would like to say that the vast majority of people would barely notice an increment on what they're already doing. I'd prefer to use, if somebody was already doing 5 hours a week on marketing, I'd like to say that our work together would fit into that. So I tend to work, if I'm working with people one-to-one, I tend to have 2 1-hour calls a month, and they can contact me in between times. So that's the only additional thing that they'll have to fit into their diary. But the rest, I really strive to not give them more to do. Sometimes people aren't doing enough marketing, but most of the time there are elements of what they're doing that is wasting time. And if we can cut that out and replace it with something else, or just cut it out full stop and do everything else a bit more efficiently, then that's brilliant. But there's no rule of thumb. There's no rule of thumb for a coach-shaped person should spend a day a week on marketing. It doesn't, that kind of rule of thumb doesn't exist.
Now, I like the fact, you see, my trainers, one of them has provided with, out of training activities, I would say. I won't use the word homework, but it's a euphemism for homework.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, I've done a few of them, but I haven't done the majority because I just haven't had the time to sit down and do it. But oddly enough, because of what I've been learning with them, I've been putting into place anyway as part of my daily work. So actually I'm implementing as opposed to working and theorizing on it. So in that regard, it's been particularly useful because it's shown me, like you're saying, what to stop doing or do less of because it's not necessary, and actually put effort in, which is going to get me the results that I'm looking for. So that's interesting. One of the things that I've turned to more now to help me is AI. What would you say for people who are looking at marketing, content creation, getting the frameworks right, getting the game plan right? What would you say are the AI tools that could be best used within the type of work that you do with your clients?
Um, I don't use AI heavily. What I have found to be very useful recently is if I'm there on a call asking them all the right questions, and they're free flowing, and they're saying deep emotional answers, and they've got enough insights about their ideal clients to speak to their problems and what they want and all this kind of stuff. We can use that transcript to create a sales page or a sales post, or all sorts of resources in seconds. So that's the best way I've found to use it so far. And I think it's one of these things, if you go into AI and say, create me a sales page for this type of person with this and this, and that's all the information you give it, it's going to be very generic, and it's going to look like a lot of other people's out there. But if you base it on really rich insights that has come from you and your knowledge of your clients, and you've entered all that richness in there, you're going to get better results. And I've done it with a few clients recently. What it spat out has been really good first draft. You always have to edit it, but it's been a really good first draft. And I suppose the only other thing I want to add to that is I know what sections I want in that sales page as well. So what AI thinks is a good sales page and what I think is a good sales page, we might disagree, but I know what I want from it. So I've not. I think the AI thing is quite interesting, because when it first came out, I was like, I don't know what this is or how it works. And obviously, when it first came out, it was less sophisticated. So I would try and use it, and what it gave me was rubbish. And now I realise that you don't need prompts. You don't need to download 1,000 prompts or pay for prompts to get a good sales page. You just have to put in loads of insight and ask it to act like a conversion-based copywriter and create a sales page with these sections. And then that is excellent. It's giving really excellent results now, I'm finding.
And I've been using it, and I'm asking it, why did you say that? Asking it to question itself. I always back check as well, because if there's any statistics, you don't want to be wrong with that when you start to publish. But I say get a hard-hitting statistic to back this up. And then I also ask it to check its validity as well. And then I'll go and check as well. So that's interesting. And that's a game changer for time saving, because
Yeah.
that kind of stuff could have taken me hours and it's done in just a few minutes. So that's pretty good. With regards to people coming to you, what would you say, just in closing, would be the biggest value that you can create for your clients? What would be the value that they could think about and say, yeah, actually, I really do need to have a chat with Janine because.
It would be around the positioning of what they do. If you don't feel that people are getting what you do until they get on a call, then you probably need to work with me. So I get a lot of coaches are people, friendly, empathetic, good questioners. And when they get somebody on a call, they know they can express what their value is, and they can show why they're a good idea to work with them. But it's getting them on that discovery call or sales call that's the tricky thing. That would be an indication that I would love to work with them. And if I may, since we're nearing the end, a good next step is to buy my book, which I published last month.
Congratulations. Well done. Let's have a really good look at that. The Easy Yes, No More Maybes by Janine Coombes. Love it. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. But it's all about how to attract coaching clients who are ready to say yes, and it's not about convincing. Like my whole approach is you can't convince somebody that they need coaching. Like that is unethical.
Oh,
Really, really not.
I've had coaching now and a few years ago, because I had nervous breakthrough and everything and blah blah blah. And most people on this channel know about what I've had because I want to help people. You're not the only one if you're going through stuff. But I never thought of investing in myself
No.
ever, and it's just like, why, looking back? But you have to be ready. You do have to be coachable,
Mm.
because I thought, well, you know what? I haven't been doing so well. So actually,
Mm.
what I've been doing hasn't been getting the results I want. So I keep on doing the same stuff, not going to get the results I want. So I said to everybody that I chose to work with, even from an NLP perspective, just had an NLP coach, I'm willing to put everything that you say into practice because, hey, I want to improve. And I can't do that for myself because I proved that to myself. So, yeah, as I say to anybody, you just need to be coachable. So, yes, back to you, though, Janine, back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. So there's a model in there which I know is really useful for clients and people who've read it. It's combining a couple of buyer decision making journeys into a framework that really, really helps, especially coach shape people who are selling high touch personal services. Um, and I'm really proud of it. And I've had really good feedback so far.
Well, I would be too. One, it looks visually amazing. So
My
that,
friend designed it. She's a designer, but I'm so chuffed.
I love
Um,
it. Bright, bold,
yeah.
just like you, does what it says on the tin. I think that is wonderful. And I'm very interested in how I get hold of that book. So is that available on Amazon?
Yes, if you go to easy-yes.com, that's my landing page, and you can go off and buy it from Amazon. I'm looking to add another non-Amazon purchasing option on there, but if you go to easy-yes.com, that'll be the best way to get there.
easy-yes.com. Everybody write that down, easy-yes.com, because I think that book is amazing. And I would actually say I've just had an insight. I don't think it's necessarily just for coach shape people. I think that if you are in that, as you say, high touch, high quality, service-based environment, then actually, you know what, we always have those things, the objections, like people go, oh yeah, but not now, or oh, let me think about it, or oh, if only if you'd have contacted me 2 months ago, or yeah, I'm not quite ready.
Mm.
We've all had that. So if that can help with that, then I think that would be brilliant to actually see those parts in the book that resonate with that. So everybody, get your coffee. I think that would be fantastic. And in general, how can people get hold of you?
You could go to janinecoombes.co.uk and have a nosy around my website. I love blogging, so I've got some really high quality blogs on there, even if I do say so myself.
Good.
But a big LinkedIner, so send me a connection request. Don't be shy. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn.
Lovely. And just let everybody know if you're thinking, oh, I can't remember that. Don't worry. Everything will be on the show notes as well. We've got all Janine's details. So we'll be putting that as a lasting legacy onto the description so that you can absolutely get to her information. So, Janine, is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't covered today that you think, you know what, if only I could have said that? If there's anything there, just absolutely, we'd love to hear.
I can't think of anything. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground and put the world to rights. And yeah, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed our chat.
Oh, likewise. Thank you, Janine. It's been a pleasure. And for everybody listening, as always, thank you, because without you, you know what? It wouldn't be a show. And as we said at the beginning, I know that you might be thinking, oh, I don't need to like or comment or what have you or subscribe. But if you could, that would be amazing. Because, once those viewing figures come up, the old algorithms start to actually build and it gets out to more people and we can help more people that way. And also, if you find that somebody you think it might not be for me, but actually, or it is for me, but also somebody else might benefit, do share because it's a real gift to be able to get given something where somebody says, oh, here's a link that you might be interested in. It really means a lot to me when people do that for me. It's like, oh, thank you for caring. That's really kind. And we do that within my team all the time. So this will definitely get shared amongst the team, Janine, as well, and to my community, because I think it's what you do is incredibly valuable. And you're just such a lovely person as well. So I think that's important. You've got to like the people you do business with.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, so everybody, thanks for listening. Thank you again, Janine. And we'll see you all again very soon. Be successful. Bye bye now.